What's good, y'all? Tasha here, and welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, welcome. In today's video, I want to actually talk about positive signs during separation that will actually predict that you guys are going to reconcile. A breakup of a marriage can actually start with a separation and can end in divorce, but that is not always the case. And a lot of times what happens when we get separated, the first thought we end up having is, can I save my marriage? Is there still hope? I would encourage any couple to do a trial separation if they need to. Some couples don't need that separation. They can actually work out whatever's going on in the marriage while both people are still at home. But for some of us, we do need to separate. We need that space. We need that time away for us to really see if this is what we want. But there are some things that can happen between you and your spouse that can actually save your marriage if that's what you want. So it starts with communication, consistent communication. If you and your spouse want your marriage to work, you have to stay in contact. And if your spouse is willing to talk to you, that's actually a first positive. Because depending on the reason that you two actually decided to separate, it's going to change how you guys communicate with each other. At first, there might be no communication or very, very little. Or if you guys have kids together, the communication might just be about the kids and nothing else. But eventually, there's going to be some type of contact because either you're going to miss them or they're going to miss you. Staying calm and remaining civilized while you are communicating with your spouse will help with not only improving the communication, but it can actually start to improve your relationship. Have you both identified and fixed any problems within the marriage? Now, if your problem is your partner, you cannot fix or change your partner unless they are willing to change. The only person that you can change is yourself. The only person that you can work on is yourself. You cannot make anybody or force anybody to change to your liking, nor should you want that. And for most of us, when we get to the point of where we are separated in our marriage, a lot of times we can pinpoint something, but the reality is we really don't know what the cause of the separation is. Because like I said, it's usually a buildup of multiple things. So sometimes we can't really pinpoint, and it's like, if you can't pinpoint, how can you adjust? And if you don't know, how can you really truly change? So if you might not know what really went on in the marriage that got you guys to this point, well, I ask you this question: how can you make yourself irreplaceable? What can you change? What do you think you can do to make things better? What are the things that you can do so that you can become a better partner? And that's what you work on. Another sign that makes sure that you guys may actually get together is you actually start reminiscing about the good times in the marriage. If the good outweigh the bad, believe me, you can reconcile your marriage. If the bad outweighs the good, there's a lot of work that's gonna need to be done. I don't think that it's impossible. I really don't think anything is impossible. But if you barely have any good times in your marriage and it's all basically just felt like work, 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 it's going to be hard. It is going to be difficult, but with the right change, you can still make your marriage work. But even if the bad does outweigh the good, you and your partner are still focusing on those positive times, those happy times. You're not really focusing on the bad times. And thinking about the good times frequently can actually help a couple reunite with each other. Another good sign is you two actually miss each other. When time passes, you'll find that you two begin to miss each other. As long as, like I said, the good outweighs the bad in the relationship. I know that's what it was for me. I really truly believe that even though I was going through my changes, and like I said, at one point my husband was adamant about getting a divorce, I think once we both started seeing the positive just in each other, we started missing each other, and we started actually missing our marriage and being together. So sometimes distance can actually help couples. They can help the couple see, why are they together? When they're able to point out the positive in the relationship, they can actually come to appreciate their partner and even the relationship as a whole. In other instances, a person can be so angry and upset that they don't see the positive in the relationship. That's usually a bad sign, because even though there might have been good times, the person don't see that. They don't see the vacations. They don't see the late night talks. They don't see the drunk conversations. All they see is maybe your infidelity, maybe the fact that you guys don't talk to each other, maybe the fact that you're always out with your friends. They don't see the positive in the relationship anymore. And these are usually the couples that don't reconcile. Another good sign is that you both seek support. And I'm not talking about financial support, but emotional support. Maybe there's something going on and that person is actually leaning to you to help them with whatever is going on in their life. Maybe they're asking you for advice. They know they can go somewhere else. They know they can go to their girlfriends. They know they can go see someone else, but they're coming to you and they're asking you for help and guidance. The fact that they're coming to you to ask for your advice and to ask for your support is a positive sign. Another positive sign is you guys are spending a lot more time together. I know for me and my husband, like I knew we would reconcile when we started spending the night at each other's houses. Then it got to a point where I was leaving things at his house. He was leaving things at mine. Then we started going shopping together. Like if he was going somewhere, he would actually call me and say, hey, what are you doing? And if I was like, oh, I'm not doing anything. Hey, you wanna go to the store with me? Sure. And he would come and pick me up. So it's things like that you actually are starting to spend time together outside of the bedroom that really shows like, hey, our relationship could come back together. And then of course, after a while, we finally made the decision, especially when both of our leases were up, we finally made the decision to say, you know what, let's just work on this and let's move back in together. Another good sign is they actually notice your positive changes. When you're separated from your spouse, this is the time for you to take a step back and actually ask yourself, what kind of partner do you even want to be? For some, sadly, you're gonna think that you did nothing wrong within the relationship and you're gonna blame it all on your spouse. And in that instance, you may not be able to reconcile because both of you have to understand that you both made some bad decisions within the relationship, and that's why your relationship is at the point that it's at. You can't put all the blame on one person because there's more than one person within the relationship. You may think, I did nothing wrong. I was a good wife or I was a good husband, but they stepped out or they said something. Well, a lot of times us being good spouses means there's neglect, means that we're not properly communicating. Maybe we're putting everything before our spouse, but because we're not going to the club, because we didn't commit infidelity, we think, oh, we're being good spouses. There are other things, I don't really want to say that makes you a bad spouse. There's no good or no bad spouses. But there could be things that we all could do in our relationship to make it better. So when your spouse actually starts recognizing the fact that you have changed or that they can tell that you're going through changes and really working on yourself, and they tell you, hey, I see that you're working on yourself. I can tell that you're making some positive strides. It's helping me want to go and change myself so I can be a better partner to you. That's what we want our spouse to do. But it's not telling our spouse, you need to change. A lot of times our changes will actually make our spouse see their faults and make them want to change. I also want to talk about some things that will really guarantee that you and your spouse will not reconcile. Not giving your spouse enough space is one. When we're having problems in our marriage, sometimes it is best to take some time, get some space. If your house is big enough and you can get time away from your spouse within the home, do that. You go to one room, they go to another room. For me and my husband, we have an upstairs and a downstairs. So I know that for us, if something was going on and we needed space, he can go downstairs, I can stay upstairs. And unless we go to the kitchen at the same time, we can seriously not see each other all day long. But if you're not giving your spouse space, you're constantly calling them, constantly texting them, they're going to get annoyed. I get annoyed if people are constantly texting me, constantly calling me when they know I don't want to talk to them. Not at that point in time. Not yet. Not right now. And they're constantly trying to get me to answer my phone or trying to get me to contact them. That's annoying. And that's going to push your partner away. That's not going to bring your partner close to you. So first thing is give your partner space. I know space is hard. And I know when we give a partner space, all these questions start running through our brain. What are they doing? Who are they with? Who are they talking to? Are they thinking about me? We get afraid that if we don't hear from them or if we don't talk to them every single day, that the marriage is just going to fall apart because we're not talking about them. We feel like because we're not talking about them and because we're not texting them, they're not at the top of our mind. Believe me, they are. They are thinking about everything. So give your partner space. Another thing is expressing negative emotions, meaning like criticizing, disrespect, things like that. And I don't want nobody to think like they can't express themselves. Like if you're upset and you're sad about something, express that. Let your spouse know how they made you feel, but be mindful about the words that you use and your actions. because you don't want to feel like you're criticizing your spouse. You don't want to feel like you're basically calling them a bad husband or wife. Nobody wants to hear that they're a bad husband and wife, even if you are. But if you want to reconcile your marriage, shouting and calling your spouse names is not going to be the way to reconcile your marriage. If you're constantly fighting about the same things that you were fighting about while you were living together, and you're now separated and you're still fighting about the same things, there's no way that your relationship is going to be able to reconcile unless you guys can figure out how to stop fighting about the same damn things. In my opinion, separation should be time for reflection on the marriage, reflection on who you want to be as a partner. It is not time to fight with your spouse about the same old thing that you guys have been fighting about for the last year or for the last couple of months. So like I said, if you are constantly still fighting about the same thing that you guys have been fighting about for a long time, your marriage most likely will not be able to reconcile because you can't even reconcile that one argument. It's going to be hard. Another sign that you're probably not gonna get back with your spouse is that the fact that you're stalking your spouse. Stalking is never good. Nobody wants to be stalked. Nobody wants to be bothered like that. And when you feel like you have to do that to somebody, it means that you have unhealthy boundaries, or you just don't care about other people's boundaries. If you find that you can't let go of a person or the relationship, you really need to seek help. You need to talk to somebody. Because with millions of people on this planet, we really shouldn't be focused on just one person, even if we're married to them. If your marriage is falling apart, if your relationship is falling apart, you don't need to be depressed and upset and so sad about this one person. Yes, a marriage failing and a marriage breaking up it hurts. Ending a relationship does hurt. But again, there's so many people on this planet that we don't need to worry about one person. If you fell in love with that person, believe me, you will fall in love again. Now, I don't know any married couple who haven't had any conflicts. Conflicts are actually a sign that you actually have a healthy marriage. For those that say that if you have conflict within your marriage, it's a sign of an unhealthy marriage, run from those people and do not take any of their advice. Conflicts are healthy. We all have conflicts. We have conflicts in our everyday life, sometimes in our everyday interactions, depending on what you do and who you're around. There are just some people that they live conflict. They're just negative people. But it's how you deal with those conflicts that makes you a healthy person, and it also makes your relationship healthy. It's not the lack thereof. It's just how you can deal with them. And how you deal with them will determine if your marriage can be saved or not. So I hope this video helped you guys. Don't forget to like and sub. If you want to see more videos like this, check out my Save Your Marriage playlist. You can also check out my marriage series playlist where I actually put a couple of these videos as well. And remember, love yourself, adore yourself, and always be yourself. Thank you. And I hope I get to see you guys in the next video.